Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to take this opportunity to wish you a happy holiday. We have a long holiday, the Easter holiday. I don't know whether Muslims are still celebrating the Ramadan. If you are doing that, I also want to take that opportunity to wish you well. Let us preach peace during this period of holiness. Just know that your neighbor will remain your neighbor, regardless of his political or tribal affiliation. Let us preach peace during this time when Kenya is facing political turmoil. Now, in the midst of all this, there is a lot of tension in Kenya Kwanza, and to be precise, in the UDA party, between William Samoei Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. This is happening ahead of Tuesday's meeting that is supposed to brainstorm and pick out a 7-member team that will counter Raila's bipartisan team. Raila picked his team yesterday and he unleashed a team of diehards. People like Ledamo Lekina, the Narok senator, Millie Odhiambo, Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, Otiende Amolo, Enoch Wambua. People who are seen to be hardliners and those who cannot be compromised. In fact, if you looked at that team, someone was telling me that William Ruto has got this penchant of buying members of parliament, and there were fears that even in that meeting they can pocket some of these members. So Raila Odinga was looking at loyalty and those people whom he knows very well that cannot be compromised, because before you know it, you can find that some of these people a million in their banks, and then you are told to come up with a suggestion that is not really pleasant to Raila Odinga. And so when this is done, you cannot now come back and negate, because these are the people whom you have selected. So as we wait for Tuesday, Rigathi Gachagua is breathing fire. He wants to lead this team. He wants his people to lead the 7 bipartisan team, because he feels that William Ruto's side can compromise so much and allow Raila Odinga into government. Rigathi Gachagua has continued to maintain that if at all Raila will join Ruto, then he will have to resign. He won't be there. Raila has maintained that he is not interested in any handshake, but Rigathi Gachagua is running away from his shadows, his haunted hallucinations, and he feels that Raila Odinga can come into this government. And his worries dates back to the day when Kenya Kwanza voted to nominate members who are going to represent Kenya into the IALA, East African Legislative Assembly. It was reported that the Ruto camp united to vote out those who are allied to Rigathi Gachagua, and they complained very bitterly about it. That is why Rigathi Gachagua later realized that things were getting thicker, and he rallied support to Kimani Kega, who is not a member of the UDA, and he told them, we have to look at our man, and they voted him in. So there are those fears that the Rift Valley MPs can play mischief. They can just decide to compromise a little so that they agree to some of the Raila terms. Because as we speak, don't listen to the public utterances that we are being given. These people are cornered, and there is a lot of pressure. There is a lot of consultations that are going on. So Rigathi Gachagua feels that he wants to lead this team. In fact, Rigathi has got one thing. There are differences between William Ruto is this. William Ruto has indicated time and again that he wants Raila Odinga to accept an official office of opposition leader, something that he wrote a letter requesting the two chambers, the Senate and the National Assembly speakers, to fast-track the implementation of, among other things, inclusion of gender, 2/3 gender, CDF, and this office, which Raila later turned down. So he wants Raila to accept this office, and this one, he even reiterated on that day when he gave his speech. He wants Raila to accept this office. The same thing that the USA wants. But Rigathi Gachagua, on the contrary, says that the only talk that they can have with Raila Odinga, the only discussion, is how Raila Odinga is getting out of the Kenyan politics. I wonder the powers that he has to decide who should remain in the Kenyan politics and who should exit. So that is their difference. While Ruto wants Raila to be an official opposition leader, Rigathi Gachagua wants him out. So these are their differences. Rigathi Gachagua wants the bloodthirsty Kimani Ichung'wah to lead these talks. Kimani Ichung'wah is currently the majority leader in the National Assembly. He's always had a very hardline stand. He doesn't want Raila Amolo Odinga. He wants Raila Amolo Odinga to be arrested. The other day he said that even if Raila is arrested, nothing will happen. So Rigathi Gachagua wants Kimani Ichung'wah to lead the talks. But William Ruto's side is proposing the current majority leader of the Senate, Mr. Aaron Cheruiyot, because they say Aaron Cheruiyot is a lawyer, so that when matters will be discussed and we have things that will be touching on legal perspectives, it will be easier for Aaron Cheruiyot as a lawyer to counter people like Otiende Amolo, Edwin Sifuna, and they also said that because Aaron Cheruiyot comes from the Ruto side, he's the one who should be leading these talks. So that is where we have this stalemate, ladies and gentlemen. Kimani Ichung'wah is equally a learned fella, but I think he's got experience in matters finances. So this is where the standoff comes from. William Ruto on his side feels that he is the head of state and the buck stops with him. You see, if anything happens and now questions are being asked, the commander-in-chief of all the armed forces as we speak is not Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua can only stand in when Ruto is outside the country, but that does not make him the commander-in-chief. He is there in an acting capacity. He cannot even occupy state house. So William Ruto feels that as the head, he should lead these talks. And even his camp, those who are allied to William Samoei Ruto, says that Rigathi Gachagua is undermining his boss, because as all this is happening, they feel that William Ruto should be left to decide what he does, maybe in consultation with the deputy. But the deputy is so hyperactive and is so obsessed by this 2027 and 2032 politics. He feels that if Raila gets into the government, he will be edged out. The people who surround William Ruto feels that Rigathi Gachagua should not be given too much powers as far as these talks are concerned. So there are a lot of consultations going on and differences. There are a lot of undertones because the mountain and the rift is not reading from the same page, and we wait and see what is really going to happen, because Rigathi seems to have decided that there is no reverse gear as far as this is concerned. But you all know William Ruto is also another shrewd politician. He has studied his deputy president, and so this tension will be resolved. We wait and see who will be in that committee. Rigathi Gachagua wants his side to lead the talks, but William Ruto feels he's the boss. So we just want to wait and see what is going to happen. In your own opinion, who do you think should lead the talks? Among other things that they're looking at is gender equality, because in Raila's camp you saw a lady there, and so this is something William Ruto has always told the women that he values them. And this is why he even wrote a letter proposing that they fast track the inclusion, the fulfillment of third gender. So we are looking at that, whether they are going to include a lady there. They must also look for some people who are very strong, because if you looked at the team that Raila gave out, it's a very strong team. It's a team that has got a hardline stand. They know what they want, and the matters that are going to be discussed are very touchy. Things like SAVA, things like the high cost of living, the reinstatement of the Cherera team. They want the government to offset all the bills of the mass action victims from police brutality. So they also need people who are smart but tough. You don't need people who are very arrogant. You only need people who are smart but very tough. And I can assure you that after Tuesday, you will see. I'm sure that when people go for that meeting, some people will walk out. This meeting will not last for 2 hours, because even in the plenary session, where they will be setting out the rules of the game, I can assure you they will disagree, because Azimio will say, we want all this to be discussed. The Kenya Kwanza will say, no, we only want the issue of IEBC recruitment to be discussed. And that is where we are going to have a standoff and a stalemate. And then they will walk out. We are facing at going back to the streets. Let us pray for our country, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what you think.